Yeah, I know, but there's no reason to be nervous about any of that. You are amazing person doing amazing things. You created a business and an organization that not only gives back, but it helps people in ways that they didn't know they could be helped at. So there's nothing that you should ever be scared to talk about in regards to that. You should literally kind of want to talk more about that because I found myself getting more comfortable now with talking about my business, even in spaces and places that I may not have done before. Like I could be at a lunch talking to a bunch of people about taxation or whatever. I don't know. And I'll be like, well, I do have an audio video production company that we do highlight podcasts. And while we're doing that, you know what, having that conversation about this could be something that can reach more people than just this meeting right here. This is a great thing to do, and this is what people need to hear. Do you feel like would you be comfortable with coming in having a conversation about that, or even better, have you ever thought about that? Like I find myself more so now pushing the narrative. Like you don't have to work with me, but putting that concept and an idea in there. Because one of the biggest things I like to do when it comes to podcasting is I want to change the narrative that even though it is an open source where anybody could talk about anything, but let's just stop talking about anything and let's talk about things meaningfully.
Amen.
You know, let's start talking more about changes and implementing ideas and coming up with solutions. I don't care what you talk about. You can talk about how the dating pool got pissed in it. I don't care. But if you're going to have that conversation, let's have a conversation about resolution. Let's have a conversation about
Amen.
corrections. Let's
Yep.
have a conversation about your own personal trauma that's tied to it. Because once you do that, now we can get to the root of why is it peeing it, because it could be what you're looking for and what you're giving is not matching up. So because you're giving half ass, you're getting half ass,
Yep.
you know, and then let's find out why you're giving half ass. So now it goes from I don't want to date because the dating pool got pissed in it to you're traumatized from your very first boyfriend that you ever had because you gave your all to him when you didn't know what that looked like and he threw it back in your face. Now we've unpacked some stuff here.
Right.
Or the reason why you are a terrible human being when it comes to dating women is because you never got hugged by your moms. Like little things
Right.
like that ties it all back in there.
Right.
But that's why I love what I do, and you love what you do.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Where I Come From, where the only requirement for this podcast is to be where I come from. It is I, Mr. Tonedef. We're back in the building, and I am joined by a very special guest today. She is not only just an amazing person, she is one of the many beautiful women that are part of the panel MKE. So, be on the lookout for everything that's going on this year in 2025. We took a break because Mother Nature didn't like people. So we didn't go outside in regards to a lot of things. But make sure you catch all the past episodes and live shows that we did in 2024 available on the Panel MKE YouTube channel, as well as take a look at a lot of things that we've done in regards to the uh, TDR live stream YouTube channel as well too, where you can catch all the shows from TDR on there, including shows from the panel and their own solo shows, such as in She Has a Voice, Lupus Has No Face, Mine and My Own, and Do Not Resuscitate, as well as me, Mr. Tone Deaf. I am joined by Miss Kenyatta Williams. Uh, Kenyatta, how you doing today?
You doing good? How you doing?
I'm doing fine. This interview has been a long time in the making.
Oh yeah.
Not necessarily because it's been difficult to get you in here, because it's definitely been difficult to get you in here, but you've actually been busy with your brand
Yeah.
and building your business in regards to it. I even helped out in a small little bit of it,
You did.
so I'm proud of that. Yay! So, why don't you go ahead and tell the people about your brand and why did you start the business to begin with?
Okay. So I'm the owner at Living and Balance Recovery Services. It's a outpatient treatment program for
Okay.
substance abuse.
Okay.
In the next couple of months, I will be getting into mental health as well.
Okay.
But one of the reasons why I wanted to get into this business because number one, um, coming up, this is all that pretty much that we were surrounded by. I had those type of people in my family. I even had some friends that turned into drugs and alcohol. Even when I was 13, I you know, I know this gonna get out here, but sorry, family. But yes, not 13. That's when I first started, smoking marijuana. Well, my first time trying it. And then as time went on, started to smoke, smoke more of it. So I
Okay.
understand like the addiction. Like I understand it, once upon a time we was buying ounces and all that stuff, which was crazy now that I look back at it. But so as I got older and older and older and older, now I realized like, man, like how did that start?
Mm,
Like it's like
okay.
I had started questioning myself, like, do that come from trauma? Is it like what we just all been around? Like where like where do it come from? So I just got real curious about the field. So when I was in school, I was kind of confused on like what did I want to go to school for. I still wasn't sure. I just knew that I wanted to help people. So every single thing that I did, I was like, this ain't sticking. So then I try something else. Then after a while, that's not sticking. So when I had to change a career, so I went into being a accountant.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, okay, I got my first accounting job.
Oh, I hated accounting.
I know I hate accounting, but see, but the thing is, I think for me, I was looking at the title more than I was looking at anything.
That's kind of how I got to it too.
Yeah, like looking at the title, like I'm an accountant, I'm making some decent money, and I got into Bridge and Stratton, like one of the biggest, corporations
Right.
in the U.S. So I was working there for a year, and I remember as time was going on, it's like, man, but I'm still not happy. So on my
Mm,
breaks, I would go and I would like write out like business ideas, and I
right.
constantly ball up the paper, like, no, that's not it. And I'm like, man, I don't know what I want to do. It's like because this right here is not rewarding. I want to do something that's more rewarding,
Right.
and I still couldn't find it. And one day, I went down to Georgia a couple of years
Georgia.
ago to see my stepfather.
Georgia.
He was passing away from
Okay.
cancer.
Sorry to hear that.
Yep. So the hospital that we went to, it was all black, and this is the first time I ever seen this. It was all black doctors, nurses, social workers, counselors.
Well, you know that
And
has a lot to do with where we live at, though.
I mean, but
Yeah, you like the fact that you have to remember we belong in the South. Like there are so many of our African Americans that live in the South. It's more normalized to see black owned everything down there because that's where we are. Up here in the north, specifically in
yep,
Milwaukee, the city itself is separated by cultures.
yep,
So the likelihood of seeing, for an example, an all black hospital with black doctors, black staff, black everything is possible, but it's usually never the hospital we want to go to.
right,
Like I can guarantee you, if we go to St. Joseph, you can probably come in that morning and see a black receptionist, black nurses, black CNA, a black doctor. You can have that whole black experience, but we don't want to patronize St. Joseph for whatever reason that we feel like it in regards to it. But when you're down in Georgia, Georgia is all black everything.
right.
Like there's probably more of us in Georgia than anybody else.
See, but the thing is, I'd never been to Georgia before,
Ah,
so
so that
yeah,
was your
so
that was your first
my first
experience of black.
experience,
Okay,
right? So
a blackity black.
yeah, like that's my first time witnessing this stuff. So
Okay,
when I went down there, and I was so like, oh my god, and I was looking around like, dude, I never seen so many black doctors, so many black nurses, social
gotcha.
workers, counselors. So I remember I prophesied to myself in a hotel room. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna be a youth counselor. I
Okay,
said that, right? And it's even on my old Facebook page from years ago. Like I
okay,
even said it on Facebook because I reshared it on my new page. So I said this to myself, and I'm thinking I'm just talking from out the side of my neck
right.
because after a while that even went away.
Okay,
So one day, this is around the time when the COVID hit, they was giving us the COVID checks and all that stuff. So I'm
right.
like, man, I need to invest this in something. So I went back digging. Something came to me. Like I went back digging for this number that this man gave me. Like, call such and such. He can help you take these courses. And
Hmm.
now he gave me
Okay.
this number all the way back when I was working at Bread and Stratton. So I kind of tossed the number to the side. I'm like, no, maybe that's
The
not for
fact that
me.
you still had the number is a blessing within itself.
Yeah.
Because most of us don't keep our numbers the same. Let alone you kept the paper, and he still had an active number.
And he still had an active number
Right.
because I had called him and I asked, I said, hey, is that man still, because he was kind of, they both old.
Right.
So I'm like, hey, is that man still alive that still do the courses? And he was like, yeah, give him a call. So I called him and, he picked up. He like, how did you get my number? I told him who gave it to me. I was like, hey, I'm kind of interested in taking these substance abuse classes,
Okay.
and I still wasn't 100% sure that that was for me. So I paid with one of my COVID checks. I gave him the money for it to pay for those classes. The class was
Okay.
$900, so I gave him my whole check, and then I started the classes. And one day I was sitting on my bed and I was doing my homework, and it came to me. I said, "This is me right here." I said, "This is me. This is what I'm be doing right here." And I was so happy that I finally found something that I was supposed to be doing. And then when I first saw the guy that actually trained me, he hired me on into his clinic.
Right.
So, and I remember telling him, he said, so how far do you want to go with this? I was like, I want to open up my own clinic because that was his clinic. So I'm thinking like, man, I want to open up a clinic too.
Okay.
At the time, it seemed so far fetched because number one, when you first get your license to be, in training, you
Right.
have to work for somebody for 3 years. So you got to work under somebody for 3 years to get those
Okay.
clinicals and supervision. And I'm like, oh my God, this is too far. This is too far. I'm a person, I like to rush.
Right.
And so I'm like, man, them 3 years gonna take a long time. And yeah, so I ended up working for him, and then after a while I ended up going to a methadone clinic. From there, and
Okay.
then so I was going from place to place, picking up my different hours,
Right.
and I was just learning everywhere I went. I was just learning, 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 and then I came to this very last place I was at. I'm like, this is gonna be my last stop. So every place I was going, I was prophesizing on myself. I said, this is gonna be my last stop. So when I got to this place, I started doing my application to open up my clinic. And before I did that, I started doing my research on what's the qualifications, this
Right.
and this and this. Of course, it took seriously like 2 years for me to even get the paperwork started. That's how much work it is.
Yeah.
And as time went on, of course, I was stressing and stressing and stressing because it seemed like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Nobody want to give me no answers. Nobody telling me nothing. I don't even know how to get started. So I was able to do everything I'm doing now based off all mistakes.
That's
All
usually the best
mistakes.
lessons that I tell
It's the
everybody.
best lesson, but it is so stressful when you're going through it.
Yeah.
So now when I look back over all that, honestly, I'm like, man, I can't believe I stuck it out. Because usually when something's stressing me out so bad, I usually run from it.
Well, I just listening to your story, so the portion I know you. So I
Hmm.
also know your behind the scenes journey in regards to it. But knowing your story from how you're telling it, it was always meant for you to do this. Like in the situation where you're sitting in your car trying to figure out what you want to do, the fact that somebody gave you a number that you completely forgot about and didn't even look at, and were able to pick it up, call it, it worked, it was the person, he was still able to give you the resources you needed, and the simple fact that you're sitting here and you're going to all these different places and these different clinics and getting all these hours in it and building everything, and everything falls in, like it literally 100, even down to the fact that you got a COVID check that paid for the class. Like that was money that was never in your game plan. It wasn't on your bingo card. We
No,
didn't
no.
know that there was going to ever be COVID, let alone we
Mm-mm.
get money just cuz. And that money came right on time for you in
Mm-hmm.
regards to not only helping you move forward in regards to your learning, because now you have a set of skills that nobody can ever take away
Amen.
from you. So even if, knock on wood, your business doesn't grow to the state that you want it to grow, you still have a skill set that you can go into teaching other people
Yep.
what you've learned in regards to it. And you also have taken a lot of your mistakes and life lessons. And now not only are you able to move forward, but you're able to give a kind of wisdom that those people coming fresh out of college
Yep.
or transitioning from another career over can come to you and be like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. And you can be like, all right, if you do this, you can either get A or you can get B. If you get A, this is what can happen. If you get B, this is what can happen. Choose wisely. So able to give somebody their options, but giving them options with what conclusions can look like guides people so much better in regards to it.
Amen.
All right. So you said that this kind of started because when you were younger, you were a heavy weed smoker.
Well, okay, let me stop. Okay, so it wasn't like super, super heavy.
Okay.
I say about 2 blunts, maybe 2 or 3 blunts a day.
That's not super heavy to you.
I mean, because I seen super heavy, so that's why I'm like mine's compared to something. And then plus, not to mention, we used to match blunts, so I used to share mine with other people.
Exactly.
So
But look at it. Okay. Let's look at it like this. Because I too am a weed smoker.
okay,
I don't smoke as much as I used to
okay,
for multiple reasons. Biggest
okay.
one is not legal in Wisconsin yet.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else has it legal, but it's not legal in Wisconsin.
Okay,
Uh, but sometimes all I need is a single day high. I need one blunt and I'm good for the
right.
rest of the day. in situations when I did used to. So when people smoke two or three a day, I kind of, this is just me personally, so I'm not judging nobody,
Hmm.
kind of wonder like, why do you need so much?
Right.
Like, what level of nervousness or what thoughts that you're trying to suppress,
Hmm.
or how difficult is your day, and have you thought about other forms of coping mechanisms that could be going on? Because we also know that with the fact that weed is now, I'm just not saying weed, marijuana, since we're talking on a
Hmm.
political scale here, is actually being legalized across the country to be
Hmm.
used for not just only municipal usage, because a lot of people do use it for municipal usage, but it's also legalized in regards to recreational usage as long as it stays within a certain level of it. Uh, how do you feel about the fact that, with that being a motivator for you in regards to starting your business and focusing on those who go through substance abuse, is that one of the main substances that people abuse on a day to day basis is also legal?
Well, let me tell
So,
you
because
this.
that makes to me, to me, that makes it difficult to tell somebody that they're addicted when the government is saying, "Sure, you could have it."
Right. So I can tell you like back in the day, like when we was doing it, like people that didn't smoke weed, they called it dope. Which is crazy, right?
It's not
So
dope.
it's far from dope, right?
Dope is different.
The old people say dope,
Right.
but like even like okay, so going based off what you said, like why do you need to smoke so much weed?
Right.
For us, I don't know if it's because when the high go down, it's like let's get high again.
Right.
Like I don't know. I think that for me, I like the feeling of it
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. And then once you actually start getting used to smoking weed, I mean, it become part of your life. But
True. True. True.
for me, I remember this particular time. I was real high, and I'm sitting around like a crowd of people. We was all, we was passing the blunt around, lighting them up back to back. And I remember I was sitting there, and I was like, "This all we damn do." I remember saying like, "This is all we do. We do this every day."
Every day.
After that, kid you not, I stopped smoking weed.
Yeah. That's how I know certain, like you said, weed is not dope. Dope is completely different. But we can have, weed is grown. And
Mm-hmm.
because marijuana is grown, how you grow it can affect what it is.
Yep.
And because it can affect what it is, it can affect how it affects you, which is one of the reasons why I kind of want marijuana to be legalized in Wisconsin. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily because I want to be able to smoke whenever I want to, because let's be honest, we can do that anyway.
Right.
We can do that anyway.
Right.
But I want it so that more so it's regulated properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like my guy or my cousin who happens to be able to get a hold of something don't know the extent of what he has. He don't know if he has uppers, if he has downers, if he has hunger suppressors, if
Mm-hmm.
he has ones that help you clear your mind, if he has some that helps you sleep. Like, you got to know what you're putting in your body and how it affects your body.
Yep.
And because we tend to get our marijuana from individuals who we barely know a hole in the wall, and we don't even know where they're getting theirs from, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times we're sometimes getting a hold of the wrong things for us.
Yep.
And you'll have those situations like some people will smoke a certain strain and they're stuck all day. They're not doing anything but that. They're not going nowhere. They're sleeping all day. And it creates a sense of laziness in regards to
It
them,
does.
or the impression of laziness in regards to it. And we get comfortable with that
Yep.
because now we don't have to deal with our everyday trauma. And I want
Yep.
to get back to that too as well. And a lot of drugs, whether it's marijuana users, heroin users,
Yep.
meth users, if it's pill poppers,
Yep.
we got our fentanyl users right now and
Yep.
everything like that. That's getting heavy into the game. We're going away from homegrown narcotics, and we're
Yep.
now transitioning into pharmaceutical narcotics that are being misused. Your mom, granny's getting prescribed some things, and you're going to her medicine cabinet and using it. Usually, when I think about drug and substance abuses, I always go back to the show Euphoria. It was on HBO for a while. They never renewed for season three. It was a show that Zendaya was the main character on, and she was a teenage girl who, literally, the first episode, she was getting picked up from rehab,
Oh,
and the show was literally, it couldn't have been story wise no more than about 2 to 3 weeks
okay.
of time.
Mhm.
But she was battling, relapsing. everyday society,
Yeah.
people looking at her and knowing that that's where she went for the summer, dealing with reacclimating, friends and their trauma. So there was a whole slew of other things going on in a teenage life in there, but her drug addiction and how those around her were affected by it played a major factor in this show, which is what kind of compelled me to continuously watch it. And there was even one particular episode where depression in her was so heavy that the whole episode was all about her battling getting out the bed.
Hmm.
And I said to myself that was probably one of the most realistic portrayals
Yeah.
of what depression can do to people. And I think about like those who have those kind of traumas and deal with those kind of situations. And we're just staying with the marijuana because we know some people will go even heavier.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people who will smoke weed just to suppress the feelings of depression.
Hmm.
Like I don't know why I'm clinically depressed. I don't know why the world feels so heavy to me. I don't know why all these things are going on to. There's got to be something wrong with me. But when I light this blunt up, I can deal with everything. I'm not. I don't feel so overwhelmed
Yeah.
because I'm relaxed and stuff like that. So you get people who do kind of get addicted to that. Um, what type of programs and things that you have for people like that who they know that this is starting to make a major effect on them and they don't want to have to be codependent on it so much and want to be able to, kind of be out in regular life.
Yeah, so I have the IOP program, which is a
Okay.
program where it's more intensive. So when you so the state pays up to 9 hours a week. So I
Okay.
give people like if you want because some people say, well, I just need an hour a week, or some people want the whole 9 hours a week. I want to go to groups. I want to do everything. So yeah, so some of my groups are seriously only 1 hour, and then now I'm working on it to where I can do groups 3 hours a day.
Okay.
Meaning, like, I know people ain't gonna come to group every single day during 3 hours, but I try to make it to like, well, let's just do Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for 3 hours a day. Of course, you got your little breaks, but
Right.
those are for people that's more heavier. And like the people I work with now, I probably got like maybe three weed smokers on my case.
Okay.
The rest of them are, more serious.
Okay.
And believe it or not, back in our day, weed was the thing.
Right.
Now it ain't even weed no more. Now it's more fentanyl,
Right.
Xanax. It's more the
Anything,
heavier drugs.
yeah, the things that you can get easier access to. And most people, unless you know what a fentanyl or Xanax or those things look like, you wouldn't think twice if this is what they're on. Well, you could see the results of it, but physically
Hmm.
on their person, you wouldn't think this. Some of them sometimes they look like little Tylenols. You wouldn't know what they're on in regards to that.
Hmm.
And we also, as a community, I guess, because with marijuana now getting to the legalization level of it and the municipal uses in it, we don't kind of villainize most people for it. But I still think that there are those who do abuse it, just like alcohol. Alcohol is 100% illegal, but every day we lose people to alcohol abuse. You
Hmm.
know, even when you do certain medications, they tell you don't operate heavy machinery, don't
Yeah.
drive, and stuff like that. So anything where I feel like if you have to take it and it has to come with a warning label, it can be abused.
Yes.
It can be abused.
Yeah.
So what about our heavier users in regards to? Are you working in conjunction with any other clinics or detoxing programs or mental health behavior centers or anything like that?
Okay. So now, since I've been, because I only been up and running for 5 months now.
5 months is a
Um,
good long time.
it's a long time, but even after opening up, like you still got some planning, you
Right.
still got to get stuff organized. So it kind of been a lot. So I'm just now getting to a place where things are really starting to smooth out now,
Okay.
like with the insurance companies,
Okay.
getting together with other companies. Like there's an event that's coming up this month on the 15th that I've been invited to by a clinic.
Okay.
Yeah, so they affiliated with Freighter's Hospital. So they know there's a white woman that owns Freighter Hospital.
I did
So
not
like
know that.
Yep. So she's affiliated with like all these different clinics. So it's supposed to be some type of event, and I've got a personal invite. So I'm just now like starting to click up with like other clinics and other sober livings and detox centers and stuff like that. I'm
Right.
making my rounds. So even like children that've been taken out of the household for substance use,
Hmm.
I'm partnering with like the drug courts. What do you call them people? CPS.
Yeah,
Like,
CPS.
yep. I'm going to the parole offices. They
Okay.
got clients that's dealing with substance use. So yeah, so I'm making my rounds.
Okay.
So I'm looking for hopefully like this time next year. I have a full caseload of people. Right now, I got one employee that's coming on contracted. So
Okay.
hopefully, I have me like a just a full
You're
house.
gonna get there. It's
Yeah,
only like
I'm
you
just trying
said,
to
it's
get
only
there.
5 months. The fact that you are being invited into these rooms and these spaces that you are being invited in means that they see big things and see big potentials in regards to it for you. And we'll go back to the fact that your past mistakes is going to make you more
Amen.
aware of
Mhm.
the rooms that you are in and how to take full advantage of all the different opportunities you have. So even though you might not be where you want to right now, I guarantee you 2 years from now, you're going to be the biggest thing that they're going to be talking about in
Amen.
regards to this. So do not worry. Don't overstress yourself in regards to it. And of course, in about 6 months, we'll be back having this conversation
Yep.
again. And then we're going to be like 1 year from now. Let's see what things look like, where you at, what are your challenges and whatnot. And I'm proud of you. So
Thank
if
you.
somebody wanted to reach out to you in regards to your services or even want to a partner with you in regards to it, how can they get a hold of you?
Okay, so you can so you can contact me on my office number at 414-409-8217, or you can just via email me at livingimbalance1@gmail.com.
Okay.
I'm pretty much open Sunday to Sunday. My phones are always on. I try not to work on the weekends so much, but I'm just open because I feel
Right.
like now since I'm just starting off, I need to be as open as much as possible.
Understandable.
Hmm.
Do you have any social medias or anything like that that people can get a hold of you for the business?
Yep. So I am on social media under Kenyatta Williams, or you can go to Living and Balance Recovery Services. I also just started my business page on there a couple of days ago. So I don't have much buzz on there, but I'm making my rounds again.
It's as long as you got it to start off with. I'm
Hmm.
telling you, the social media is the way that everybody's communicating with each other. So try to get used to using it. Find one of those platforms, make it your main platform that you
Hmm.
do all your promoting from. And I guarantee you by this time next year, you're going to have a clientele that you're going to need to give to other companies because you got too many to handle at one
You
moment.
know what that sound like?
But
Remember in the Bible, the fishermen.
yeah,
Remember, remember when Jesus told them to throw it back out there, and they threw it back out there, and it was so like the fish. It was so many fishes in the net that they start calling other
yeah,
fishermen over because it was so many fish. So and you know what? And I said that a couple of days ago by myself too. I
yeah.
was like, ooh, let it be overflow like the people the fishermen.
Yeah, I've been in that position too. Because when you know that people rock with you,
Hmm.
people are gonna want to come to you, and
Yep.
then you can't, as much as you want to help everybody, you can't. So you got to use your resources,
Amen.
build your partnership, find your friends in commonality, and use them as well too.
Yep.
I could tell you right now with this, there was a point in time I had so many shows that I had to tell people to go call my partner. Hey man, go call every day.
Wow.
Go call this. Go talk to this person. And I would do it's like here's a show. Here's somebody who's interested in doing this. I have no problem helping other people get where they need to if I have the ability to do that without taking away from me. And that's the same thing with you. I know you are going to help thousands and thousands of people in regards to it, but just make sure that in the middle of all of this, you're taking care of your own mental health.
Amen. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. With that being said, people, we have come to the end of this episode. You will hear more from Miss Kenyatta in one shape or form. So make sure you check us out on all streaming platforms. That's Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever else you listen to your podcast at. Make sure you look for her on social media at the links below in regards to it. And just keep being you. We out of here, people.